Good afternoon, School District of Indian River County. This is your Superintendent, Dr. Moore, here to share some additional information regarding our options as we prepare for the opening of schools. Today is a great day in the School District of Indian River County as we spent the morning celebrating almost 700 graduates from Vero Beach Senior High School. That celebration continues on this afternoon as we will do the drive-by graduation. We missed our parents this morning, but we're looking forward to celebrating and acknowledging their contributions that they have played in the lives of their children as we drive by, allow them to come on to our stadium, drive through the stadium, and have that up-and-close personal experience, really to celebrate the hard work of our seniors. And we will repeat the whole process tomorrow. Sebastian River Senior High School, we will be out there tomorrow morning in the stadium at 9 o'clock having that traditional graduation, the time for the class to come together and celebrate and acknowledge their hard work, and then also have that drive-by experience for the parents and families in the evening. So it's an absolutely wonderful evening here in the county of Indian River, a wonderful weekend here in the county of Indian River. Today's purpose is really to, as I said earlier in the week, to provide you explicit information regarding the safety procedures and processes that are in place for option one. So first, I want to really frame our conversation in looking around the rationale, why we're problem solving the way in which we are. Really begins with wellness needs. We want to ensure these structures that we have created within each of the three options ensures that we are focusing in on the wellness, safety of all students. As we continue to problem solve, we understand social needs, that these variations need to ensure that we're connected, and from a social perspective, we are providing options that allow us to address the social and emotional needs of all students. We're also looking at learning needs. We have been problem solving all summer long and continue to do so to ensure that we're just not getting schools open because we have to get schools open, but we're being awareness as it relates to the wellness. We understand the social aspects of returning to school, but we want to provide meaningful instructional experiences regardless of the option that's being selected. And then ultimately, basic needs. As we return to school, we have been away from the schoolhouse almost 5 months, 3 days shy of 5 months come August 10th, and we need to ensure that we have plans in place to address even the basic needs of our families and our students. So this is comprehensive planning. This is not easy, and as you know, it is a continuing target that moves each and every single day. Quickly to review the three options that we have here. First, option one, which is that traditional return to school with the provisions that are in place to ensure social distancing and minimizing student density, and we'll talk through those in the coming slides. Option two is that virtual experience that is driven, the educational experience is driven by a platform with the advantage of having a local teacher there to support and facilitate you. This is going to be an educator who will be local and also provide ongoing support. So it's just not the continuation of driving through that platform or in other virtual experiences where you have minimal contact, maybe once or twice, 3 times throughout the semester. Very intentional in this design, in this Indian River virtual school model, where our teachers will constantly be in touch, supporting and helping grow our students academically. And then option three is our transitional distance model. This is the model that says, I'm just not ready right now based on the percent of COVID positive cases. It's not going in the direction in which gives me a level of comfort of returning. This is an option that allows your child to go through the confines of a school day, bell-to-bell instruction, with the only variation being that instruction will be provided by a teacher through a Teams platform using our learning management system, Canvas, so teachers will have the opportunity to present their lessons. We'll have opportunity to ask clarifying questions and ask students to provide responses, release the students to do the work, pull small groups. It is a traditional classroom experience just over the internet. So this is a very unique opportunity to continue along the confines of a school schedule until you're ready to return to school. I think it's important to note, as I have said in previous presentations, that we have these models in place until we are, as a community, at a place of comfort that COVID is no longer a concern, and we can have everyone back in the typical brick or mortar experience. So we have set the criterias of the first 9 weeks for option 3, 18 weeks for option 2, but we continue to be flexible in terms of looking at the reality and holding spots in our traditional schools or in our magnet schools if the situation doesn't improve over time. You'll also see that we've extended the deadline to July 15th. So we know today that we're providing new information. And then if, as a result of this new information, you have a change of thought or you want to change your selection, you should feel free to go on to Canvas or onto Focus and fill out the survey again. It will override any previous decisions that you have made. So we've already programmed Focus to ensure we capture your latest input. So if there is a change of mind after speaking to your neighbor or your principal or someone within the system that allows you to shift in one of the 3 options, that is in fact the opportunity that you have. Also, I just want to clarify, these are the selections of the options you would like for your student. When you're going on to Focus, it isn't a survey to say, I'm considering 1, 2, or 3. It is the selection of option 1, 2, or 3. So if you have gone on, and we've heard this, and thinking it was a survey to give us input, we'd like you to reflect, think through the presentations, and then if you changed your mind, go back on and complete that survey. Well, you think it's a survey because I'm calling it a survey. It's not a survey. It is a selection. So let's look. The survey, did it again. The selection process has been open for about 4 days now. And you'll see in this slide about 2,033 of the people who have completed the survey have selected the traditional return to school. That's 58% of those who have completed the survey, with 21% selecting the virtual experience and 21% selecting the distance learning process. Those are just the percents of individuals who've completed the survey. Now, using that data, we're predicting right now between 85 and 90% of our students will return to the traditional model, and the other 10% will be within one of those 2 models. So let's get into it. We have continued to work with our task force, continued to work with health departments, really to provide us with clear guidance on how to pull off something that is extremely complex. And you'll see here universal safety measures. These are things that will be happening in all schools. The temperature and system screenings for students and staff upon arrival. So we have that system going into the graduation this morning. I was screened, and I was happy that I made it in. The identification of COVID-19 isolation rooms in each campus. So in addition to the health room, each school will have a classroom or an additional space close to the health room available when there is a possible positive case on campus. Hand sanitizer will be available at school entrances in all campuses and classrooms. So we have purchased what we call hand sanitizing stations. This is the opportunity to enter into the school and once again have that hand sanitizer available to you. Non-essential visitors will be prohibited from entering campuses. Parent visitors limited to the front office of schools. We are going to maximize front office capacity by posting enforced school staff. And then district-provided posters and signage for health and safety procedures. A constant reminder throughout the building regarding opportunities to stay safe and continue to visually remind ourselves of these new systems that we've created. One of the things that we think is very important is that we provide the time and dedicate the time to really learning these new systems and these new procedures. So I will bring to the school board a recommendation to modify the first 8 days of school using the modified schedule that we're all used to. Now within this modified schedule, you'll see the times on the screen. We will be intentional about ensuring our students are returning to environments in which they feel safe and comfortable, and we take the time to teach them the new procedures and policies that we've put in place. At the same time, it will afford our faculties and staff on a daily basis to come together as a team at the end of each school day and problem solve and reflect on the implementation of these new systems and procedures. We will have the opportunity through that dialogue and conversation to correct or modify any of the systems that aren't working correctly, that are not maximizing social distancing. So we want to, take the time to introduce our students in a very safe space over the first 8 days of school in order to ensure they fully understand and embrace these new rules and procedures. When it comes to face coverings, I will say right here and right now, face coverings should be worn when social distancing is not possible. One of the things that we're doing really to ensure that we have the best plan and that this is a plan that leads with safety in health. We are convening a number of local pediatricians who will have the opportunity to sit down with me and have deep conversation and provide me input, provide our district, our school board input regarding our plan. This isn't Dr. Moore's plan, this isn't the school district plan, this is our community's plan. So I'm looking forward to sharing this plan and getting feedback specifically around masks and when masks should or should not, should it be recommended, should it be required. So we're looking forward to having that conversation with pediatricians and receiving their input and advice. We will provide district face coverings made available for all students. So when students come into the campus, we have reusable cloth masks that we'll provide to all students. We also have the disposable masks that will be available within classrooms as well as on the bus and upon entrance. So we'll have plenty available, both ones that you can take home and have for yourself, as well as disposable ones that we can provide to you. We will provide safety shields for all faculty and staff within our school. So in listening and problem solving with our educators, it's very hard to teach with a mask. We will be providing a face covering, the shield, as you have come to know them, which will allow our teachers to use their whole face if they chose so, to provide direct instruction to our students. Hand hygiene is something that we will constantly reinforce. Hand sanitizer, as I said, will be available in all classrooms and replenished when it runs dry. Explicit instruction around hand washing and constant signage throughout the buildings reminding students to keep our hands clean and ready to go. Upon the arrival to class, temperature checks, symptom screenings will take place. Increased supervision during arrival and dismissal to support students in social distancing. The use of campus space for students in arrival and dismissals. So with that increased supervision, we will ensure that we're maximizing the space to keep students spread out. Extension of parent drop-off and pickup times to minimize student density. So school site specific times will be provided, so we're going to extend the drop-off time to minimize student density. The temperature check is a good practice, but that practice should not create a bottleneck as we try to get students into our campuses. So for the first 2 weeks and maybe even beyond, we will extend our drop-off times to ensure we have a schedule in place to minimize student density. And the same thing happens for dismissal. And then parents to remain in their vehicles when they come to pick up and drop off. We want to provide a very clean and smooth transition as we come and leave campus. When you're looking at elementary, these are some transition and large gatherings. We're going to minimize transitions and times outside of the students' assigned classrooms. Modify recess schedule and times for sanitation of playground equipment. Cancel free field trips for the minimum of the first 9 weeks. Conduct school-wide assemblies or recognition ceremonies virtually for a minimum of the first 9 weeks. Modify the use of space for extended day programming to maximize social distancing. Hold cultural arts classes, arts, music in the elementary space within the classrooms in order to ensure that we are maximizing or reducing the amount of movement. So students in elementary will have the opportunity to be in a socially distanced classroom throughout the day, moving for lunch, grab and goes. We'll speak about that in a second. But a great deal of the time and the instruction will be coming to them versus them moving throughout the campus. Looking at the secondary, implementation of block scheduling to minimize transition. So when we're in that modified instructional day for the first 2 weeks of school or the first 8 days of school, they'll only be going to the 2 classrooms. So it significantly reduces movement throughout the campus, which is extremely important. When we go to the full schedule, we'll implement block scheduling, so they'll have the 3 classes each day, and 1 class will be consistent. That lunch period class will remain consistent. Once again, that is significantly reducing the amount of traffic and movement and congestion throughout our campus. Delay large gatherings for a minimum of the first 9 weeks. Conduct school-wide assemblies or recognitions, once again doing that virtually. Establish and utilize one-way hallways. Increase teacher presence during campus and transitions to increase supervision, constantly reminding students of keeping the distance and limit the congestion of students that violate social distancing recommendations during school transition. So we will be out and about. We will make sure that we're constantly encouraging and supporting our students as we transition from class to class, making sure we are following all these established procedures. We're looking at breakfast and lunch. We will provide a new ID system that allows the cards to be scanned. So in previous school years, it was the enter your number where you had to touch. We've upgraded to a touchless system where they simply will have their school ID and be able to scan that information without having to touch anything. We will use grab and go meals. So meals will be ready. It is a quick, seamless process to grab your meal and then be moved to a designated eating space. Maybe in the cafeteria in a defined seat. It may be in a courtyard or in classrooms. We will create schedules that predetermine where students will go and identify areas throughout the campus that ensures that social distancing will take place. As you enter the cafeteria line, that hand sanitizer station will once again be there. We will not allow visitors during the confines of the lunch period as we have in the past until this subsides. And we will extend lunch schedules to promote social distancing and provide a scenario in which we can provide the additional supervision. One of the things that we keep saying is additional supervision. And from our district offices, we know we need to be in school. So we are going to empty out our buildings, and we're going to assign ourselves to school to support our teachers and our administrators to be where we're needed and help with this extra supervision. This is going to take all hands on deck approach. So our district offices, only essential employees will stay here to respond to phone calls as we begin to open schools. We will be out in schools assigning ourselves arrival, dismissal, lunch times. We're all in this together. Classroom learning environments. A lot of questions around learning environments, and rightfully so. Availability of hand sanitizer will always be in classrooms. We're going to minimize movement and transitions while learning environments. So less movement in classrooms as we begin the school year. We're going to maintain social distancing at least 6 feet to the extent possible. We're going to remove all unnecessary furniture to maximize social distancing. So classrooms will look different. Principals are setting up model classrooms in terms of how to expand the amount of space to spread our students out within our classrooms. We're going to eliminate the sharing of students' personnel supplies such as pens, papers, art supplies. We'll have that available for them if they do not have it, and they'll keep that in their assigned space. So there is no opportunity to do that sharing. We will sanitize shared technology, instructional materials, and furniture in between use. And that is a daunting task that requires a great deal of logistics, and we are willing to do that work to keep our students safe. Extracurricular activities, we understand the importance and value of those activities. We will continue to have those activities. We will be implementing social distancing while we practice those activities. Each individual activity will, whether it be a club sponsor or a sport, will develop and submit a safety plan for all of those activities they will be conducting. Routine sanitation and cleaning plans and equipment will be made available within each of these activities. Hand sanitizer, once again, will always be available. We will continue to seek guidance from the FHSAA regarding the athletic activities in order to ensure that when and if they're being offered, we are adhering to those pre-established environments. Here we're looking at education and training. So we've covered a lot of procedures, a lot of new ways of doing things. We understand as educators we need to commit to the training in order to get this right. So you see on the screen here, and this is a screen I've shared before, July 27th through the 31st, that is going to be a great deal of training with our administrators, looking at the plans that they have created, providing feedback, pulling our principals together, very explicit on ensuring no principal is on an island by his or herself, but really us all supporting each other in the creation of plans that will, in fact, work. Looking at training from August 10th to August 21st, universal training for students on safety protocols and procedures during that first 8 days of school. That is a safe space for our teachers and our students really to understand these new procedures, to practice these new procedures and create them in terms of creating behavior so we fully understand them. So it's being intentional during that time period. Prior to the start of school, we will have our orientations. We'll have opportunities for our parents to come on campus with their students, meet their teachers. Orientation will be done differently, smaller groups coming together by class, a overall orientation virtually by principals, so you have a clear understanding of what those systems and routines are. And then August 3rd through the 7th, additional training for our staff as well, for our parents who are participating in distant learning. Those are all new systems that have been created, and I don't want anyone to worry as you transition into those new systems. We will have that training available for you. So you fully understand, when am I going to pick up my textbook and resources? We'll make that available. If I need technology to implement one of those 2-3 models, we'll make that time available. So prior to the start of school, you will be contacted, whether it is option 2 or option 3, based on the identification of the model that you have selected. And those orientations will be provided for you just as if you were returning to a regular school in that orientation. And during those times, it will be determined where you pick up the resources or materials that you would need to be to function within one of those 3 models. So there is a great deal of training to take place, as you can see. Procedures for potential student or staff case. And this has been a question that we continue to problem solve around. We're ready to open schools with these systems and structures, but this too requires a great deal of training and logistics. And a student or staff presented with COVID-19 systems, the supervising teacher or staff member uses the telephone or classroom call system to alert the health assistant. The identified student will be escorted by a staff member who will both be wearing masks to the pre-identified COVID isolation room, which we've discussed earlier. Temperature and system checks are completed while in that by the health assistant. The health assistant completes the health documentation form, identifies the student's parents. Health assistant will follow up with the Department of Health for guidelines for reporting on contact tracing. Follow-up actions will be implemented according to CDC and Department of Health recommendations. Custodians with disinfectant sanitizer will clean the affected areas related to any potential case. So that is the process while on campus to escort a student or staff member to that safe isolation room, contact parents, get them home, and get them to a doctor to be tested or followed up with. This slide kind of takes it a step further when we have a confirmed case. So in the previous slide, that was just symptoms in the process that we would follow to remove that individual to a safe, healthy place, and then the process that we would follow in cleaning that particular space as a precaution. Once again, this is a dance between us and our health department. And you'll see here, once we have that confirmed case, a confirmed case comes from the health department. So we are in constant contact with the health department. Once a contact of the individual has been confirmed, we're looking at individuals who have been less than 6 feet within that 6 feet barrier for 15 minutes. Those individuals will be notified by the school and be identified in terms of the number of days that they will be home. The number of days vary based on the time it took to have the confirmation come back, the length of time that we are notified from the health department. So initially it would be 2 to 5 days while the health department continues its investigation regarding the amount of exposure. Within those 2 to 5 days, we'll provide additional information as it relates to an additional amount of being quarantined and following up, providing testing, and then returning to school once the quarantine has ended or once you have been tested and have a negative result. So once our goal is to notify, have individuals go home for a predetermined amount of time, monitor themselves for symptoms, go and get tested as quickly as possible to get back to school. It should be noted that the length of quarantine will be shifted based on some pre-existing conditions and the rate of exposure, which not determined by the school, but determined by the health department. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am looking forward to having these procedures reviewed by a team of local pediatricians to receive feedback from them. And we will act in the best interest of our children, of our teachers, of our staff. This is hard, this is complex, this is extremely challenging. But before we implement and open our doors on August 10th, we will ensure that is the right thing to do. That this process, these new procedures and systems do ensure that we can keep everyone healthy and safe and provide meaningful instructional environments. This is the additional information that I thought you were owed. I hope it allows you to have a deeper understanding as to how we will be implementing under Phase 1. I would encourage you, if you have not done so already, to complete the selection of the option in which you will be participating in next school year. Once again, if you have changed your mind or made a different decision regarding the option that you would like to be involved in next school year, that also can be just simply complete the survey again, and that will override any information that was there before. One last reminder, once again, we have extended the deadline for you to complete this to July 15th. Following the week of July 15th, we will be working with our principals. We will be looking at how we are going to create and make student assignments based on the models, teacher assignments, and then we will circle back with families that following week regarding how and where to receive the information regarding option 2 and option 3. So still a lot of moving parts to take place. We are in the collection of assignments right now, looking forward to being extremely proactive and responsive to getting you the information to ensure when we open our doors on August 10th, regardless of the option that you have selected, you know it is a safe, healthy, and meaningful instructional environment for your child. Thank you, and enjoy your weekend.